My thing is it could be anybody.
It has been called the deadliest drug threat facing our country. Just a small amount of fentanyl can end a life and forever change families. Tonight, our WCTV Investigates team is shedding light on how fentanyl is showing up in Florida's state prisons.
Our Zach Dahlheimer is here to put this into perspective for us. Zach?
Hey, good evening, Jacob and Julie. Yeah, fentanyl is a synthetic opioid that can be used medically to treat patients with severe pain, especially after surgery. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration says it is 50 times more potent than heroin and 100 times more than morphine. Now, last year, a woman reached out to us saying the drug played a role in the death of a loved one who was serving time at a nearby prison. And for 7 months, our team has been looking through contraband data from the Florida Department of Corrections and reaching out to state lawmakers and prison officials. And what we found are that thousands of grams of illegal drugs are being found in prisons all across Florida. And corrections officers say they're working to curb the issue. It's getting the attention of state lawmakers.
He had a very high IQ, very, very smart.
Tawana Williams has fond memories of her former partner, Joseph Spates II, the two eventually having a son together named after Spates.
He was a good father, give you the best advice. He was a person that knew who he was. He knew what he wanted. He also knew he had his demons like everybody else.
But changes came in 2001. State prison records show Spates received multiple life sentences for armed burglary and kidnapping crimes in Broward County. He then went on to serve more than 2 decades in the state prison system, most recently at Liberty Correctional Institution in Liberty County.
I feel like, yes, he should have served for what he did. We're not saying that he shouldn't, because when you do something, you have to pay the piper.
She says Spates' time behind bars took a toll on their son.
My son has not been able to see his father in the flesh. He's talked to him. He's written letters.
In August 2023, she and her son's lives forever changed. She says Spates was found dead at Liberty Correctional. The Florida Department of Corrections confirming Spates' death, which they labeled as an accident.
It was very heartbreaking for us because my son never got to really touch Joseph.
That heartbreak evolved into questions for Williams when she got Spates' autopsy report.
They just said that they don't feel it was any trauma in his body. They said his body was in perfect order, perfect shape.
She provided WCTV Investigates a copy of the report, which lists Spates' cause of death as multiple drug toxicity, a contributing substance being fentanyl. This update leading to more questions about how fentanyl ended up in Spates' body while behind bars and frustration towards state prison officials.
How are they getting in there? They're not climbing out at night and going to the disco and getting it and bringing it back. Somebody's bringing it in. They should take accountability for what happened.
For months, WCTV Investigates has been reaching out to the Florida Department of Corrections. After Williams reached out to us, we sent FTC officials public records requests asking how many other inmates have died behind bars with controlled substances in their system. The department responded saying that information is confidential, but gave us a link to their inmate mortality data going back to 2018. It shows the vast majority of inmate deaths over this time frame had been natural, followed by those marked as accident like Spates, and then suicide and homicide. However, the third highest number of deaths in this data is labeled as pending. At Liberty Correctional Institution alone, since 2018, the percentage of deaths marked as accident and pending combined is the same as the amount of deaths marked as natural. FTC officials have not clarified to us exactly what causes of death are included under the label of accident. We also wanted to know how much fentanyl is showing up in FTC facilities. FTC annual reports show that drugs like cocaine and those marked as other saw major spikes since 2018. Fentanyl oxycodone became its own category in the 2021-2022 annual report, with more than 3,200 grams found during that fiscal year. That number nearly tripled in the following fiscal year.
What is your take on hearing that this being present amongst state prisoners at these facilities around the state?
Well, you're actually the first one to tell me about that, and it's very shocking.
Democratic State Senator Tina Polsky is one of many state lawmakers trying to curb fentanyl in Florida. In 2023, she sponsored a bill that went on to become law that decriminalized fentanyl testing strips in the state. After speaking with us, she says the issue of fentanyl in state prisons is now on her radar.
It's very troubling to hear that there are illegal drugs being used in our state prison facilities.
Fentanyl is a dangerous drug.
Jim Biardi is the president of the State Correctional Officers Chapter of the Florida Police Benevolent Association. A 30-year veteran with the FDC, he's worked at several locations across the state and knows firsthand about contraband like this coming into prisons and being found.
I think it comes through several different ways. We see drones used. We see it smuggled into by visitors into the facilities.
What's your reaction to the data within these reports?
Part of a spike in those numbers could actually be the fact that they're discovering it more. I know the department has done a lot more in training of its staff and protective equipment for them for searching of it. Everything from dogs, and they do intervention, drug interventions, and contraband. They have put special teams together to search for it. So based on all this, I think that that the department and the staff and the officers are doing the best they can.
When asked, Biardi says he couldn't go into more specifics about the special equipment or training. However, the FDC's 2022-2023 annual report notes on-site fentanyl drug tests were given out to community corrections field offices to find fentanyl, and Narcan and first aid kits were issued to all certified staff in community corrections. While Biardi wouldn't comment directly on Spates's death, he believes fentanyl is not a Department of Corrections or state problem, but a national problem.
And until we stop these bad drugs from coming into this country, and until we stop people from moving it and selling it and distributing it, there's going to be more cases like this.
Do you think that this topic would be one to bring up or may possibly be brought up in some form or fashion next session?
I absolutely do. And if I'm sitting on criminal justice with this information, I will certainly bring it to the chair's attention or leadership's attention and say, we need to look into this. This is a real problem. We are responsible for them, and there shouldn't be illegal drugs to begin with. And then illegal poisonous drugs laced with fentanyl are even more tragic.
We've reached out to the department multiple times over the phone and through email to speak with us on camera and answer questions we have about Spates and fentanyl in state prisons, but they did not respond by our deadline.
I think they need to sweep out these prisons, clean them out.
As for Williams, she'll continue raising awareness to try and keep others from walking the same path as her and her son.
It could be somebody they know, and everybody has somebody that loves them.
And we'll, of course, let you know if we hear back from the Department of Corrections and what they say.
All right, some excellent reporting, Zach, but certainly some disturbing discoveries there. And if you are interested in learning more about fentanyl in prisons, Zach will be on our digital desk. You can find him on our Facebook page and on all our streaming platforms. Look for that at 6:30 tonight.